and welcome to Chelsi Shikongo Talks, where I'll be talking to women in entertainment who are making a difference and getting noticed. I'm Chelsi Shikongo, and today I continue to talk to inspirational and ambitious women who are making a real impact in the world of entertainment in Namibia and across the world. My guests today are two actresses in the Namibian film industry. Girley Jazama, she is a multi-award winning actress and appeared in The White Line where she played Sylvia. And Sunet, who also starred in The White Line, playing Anna Marie, and starred in the movie Valara, where she played Sharon. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, Chelsea.
Doing well. Thank you for having us today.
Yes, I'm very excited to have this conversation with you both, as amongst so many things, Girley, you produce, you direct, you write, and Sunet, you host a daily radio show, and you're also a drama coach, and you act as well. So I'm sure both of you will have amazing stories to tell us today about the industry that you're in as women. Girley, did The White Line really launch your career, or did it start much earlier?
Well, I've been in the industry for 16 years. I did film, theatre and television. So I wouldn't really say that The White Line per se launched my career. I think it kind of just put a spotlight on me as an actor because of obviously the storyline and the theme of the film itself. But I wouldn't really call it launching my career, no. It's just part of the many films that I've done. And it just happened to have done really well. So that's why people notice now, I guess. Yeah.
Sunet, did The White Line do the same for you?
I would say it was a very big milestone in my career. So, I mean, I studied acting in 2009, 2010 already, and did quite a few short films since then. But it was my first feature film. So obviously it was a big milestone in my career, and it definitely gave me a bigger platform and put my name out there. So I would say not necessarily launch, but definitely helped it out.
Exactly.
Split it up a little bit.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Sunet, you had real reservations about taking the role of Anna Marie. Why was that?
Have you seen how horrible she is as a person?
I actually did.
Yeah, so obviously I was contacted by Desiree, who said they've got this movie that they're making, they've got this character that they want me to play. It's a feature film, do I want to do it? Obviously I was super excited, this would be my first feature film. So I was very excited to do it, and I was like, sure, send me a piece of the script or whatever, just so that I can have a look, and then I'll get back to them. And then they sent me the script, and literally within the first page, you've got my character saying some really horrible stuff. Obviously, she's using the K word, and she's saying some horrifying stuff. And I was just like, great, there goes my first feature film, you know? Because I just immediately, at the end of the day, I know your character's different to who you are, but you also have to think of your image, what you want to portray out there to the public. And I was just like, I don't want to be associated necessarily with someone like that. And that was very difficult for me. But then I spoke to like previous acting coaches. I prayed about it quite a bit as well. And I was like, should I be doing this? And then I just had peace over doing it. I just felt like it really is something that I should do, because I believed in the story. I believed in not necessarily what my character stands for, but what the story stands for, the values behind the story and the message that the story tells. And I was like, you know what, okay, if I have to take one for the team, it's fine. I'll do it.
Yeah, because I feel like also all the actors that like viewers tend to like dislike shows that you as a performer did a really good job.
Exactly.
They say that, but it's not fun being on the receiving. No, I'm kidding. Everyone was actually, I have to be honest, like I was very worried when the movie came out. I was worried about how my character specifically would be received and how people would receive me. But it was actually quite funny, because I was unnecessarily worried. When the movie came out, people were like, they hate my character, but you did it so well.
Exactly.
So, and that actually made me feel much better about it, because I was like, if someone's going to throw me with sour milk in public or something, I'm done with acting.
Why sour milk?
I don't know. First thing to come to mind.
Okay, did the role teach you anything?
It taught me a lot. I mean, just working on the movie, I think Sylvia can also attest to that, where you've got people from different cultural backgrounds and different histories. And I mean, we grew up post-apartheid.
Yeah.
So it's something that you don't really understand fully. You don't grasp it because you read about it, you see movies about it, but you don't really know what it was like. So almost getting that, I want to say, first-hand experience of seeing what it was like. I learned a lot as a person. I learned a lot about where I come from as an Afrikaans person. You know, I learned more about the people around me as well and their history. And I would say I grew a lot as a person and then obviously as an actress as well. Like working with Girley, always say this, I'll say it again. She's an amazing actress and I learned a lot from her, working with her. So I learned a lot as a person but also as an actress.
Okay, that's amazing. Did you get any backlash from it, from the character? Playing
Weirdly
the character?
enough, no. People are weirdly like her. I don't know, but in a weird way.
Because
Like
you
they
did
love
it so
to hate
well.
her.
Because you did the role, you
What you
portrayed
trying
it
to
so well. And obviously they knew, because obviously also looking at you being a media personality, people obviously know that you aren't a racist person. So obviously they knew this is clearly her acting. And she was freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Like,
I'm
she
so
was
good at
scared
being
me as
mad.
well.
I don't know where I get
I was
that.
like,
Brilliant.
okay.
I promise I'm nice.
You are. I
And the
believe
hand
you.
gesture.
Girley, did you get any negative remarks regarding Sylvia? Playing Sylvia, I mean.
No, I don't think I got any negative remarks playing Sylvia.
No one ever felt entitled to be like, why do you think you would know that much about the history? And
No, actually, no. But also I think from the way all of us are as the actors that acted in this particular film, we don't really pay a lot of attention to what the naysayers say. Because also from
There
the
will always
beginning.
be
Exactly. Because from the
things, I
onset,
guess.
we knew that there is... Some people are going to feel a certain way, other people are going to feel a certain way. And for us, at the end of the day, the strategy was always like, if they're talking, that means we did our job really well. Because there should be debate, because that's the only way we heal as people. Because that's the one thing, because the whole movie is about hope and forgiveness. So it's about, let's look at what we did in the past and how can we learn from it and do better going forward. So I don't think, and if they did, well done, thank you.
Okay. Did you always want to act?
I've always wanted to act. I started off in school. So I was part of
Which
at our
school?
school, Karamba Private School.
Oh.
So we had a drama class or drama a subject as part of the curriculum. So that's why I did like The Lion King.
Who did
I
you
acted
play?
I played Rafiki.
Oh, okay.
And yes, I played Rafiki. And it was so beautiful because we got to help build the sets and stuff.
Wow.
And then we did a musical where I played James Brown.
Jeez.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Okay.
happening
Yeah.
in Karabib
Where I was
school that I
basically
didn't
singing,
know
I feel
of.
good. So I did that whole thing to the point that when I got off stage, when the show was done, so I went down to go say hi to my mom, like, for us to leave. And she's like, so, no, wanneer gaan jy op? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, who were you? I'm like, I was James Brown. She's like, what? I didn't realize it was you because of obviously the costumes and everything. Yeah, so it's been something that I've always wanted to do. But obviously coming from the type, I think everybody can relate to this. Our parents always feel like, back then at least, they thought like, art is not really something that you could have a career per
It's
se.
not a good career.
It's not a
to
good career.
pursue,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then obviously I tried my spin at doing a BSc, majoring in geology at UCT. But then when I got there, because the agreement with my dad was like, can you just do something where you have a job afterwards? And then when you're done with that, you can do your thing. So, but then when I got there, half the time I was at the humanities faculty.
Wow.
My friends were the humanities faculty students. Like I even looked like a humanities faculty student because I always walked around barefoot. I didn't comb my hair. I had this whole hippie bohemian thing going on to the point that my older sister, and she was studying medicine at the time. So when she would come to upper campus and she'd see me, she's like, I'm going to tell mama that you're living here looking like a hobo. So yeah, I've always wanted to act. So obviously after that, I came back, worked for Anglo Gold Ashanti for a year, and then following year I was supposed to go back, and I said to my parents, I'm only going to go if I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Okay, so can you tell us about a highlight in your acting career?
A highlight.
Like one of your biggest highlights that you're like, I'm gonna keep this forever, even if it's small or big. It's sentimental to me.
One of the many awards you've won.
But also like something that's yours.
But for me, I always feel like I don't seek exterior validation. So I do what I do because I love doing what I do. And if people acknowledge that, great. So an award is obviously, yeah, that's great, but it's not really why I do it. But I think the one thing thus far in my career that is a highlight for me is being able to learn a language for a movie. Because also when we did the White Line, I wasn't fluent in Oshirero at the time. I'm Herero, but I wasn't raised speaking Oshirero.
Same.
So I had to learn to speak Oshirero.
Wow.
For that movie, and it was like serious higher grade Oshirero right in there. Like it took 2 months.
Wow.
So first I had to learn to obviously like just pronounce the words, and then we had to work on the phonetics of things, and then also we then had to look at like obviously Afrikaans back in those days, people didn't speak it Saver Afrikaans, so it had to be Kombuis Afrikaans. So I then also had to work on that, where I obviously discovered like things like, you know, Shirero, if a word starts with B, you add an M.
Oh, yes.
So it's like mbas. If a word starts with a D, you say ndangi.
I remember that.
So that's because it's all a nasal thing. And then also recently, the movie that I shot last year, I had to speak German. So I had to learn to speak German. So yeah, I think that's one of the highlights, because I love challenging myself.
Yeah.
Because I always believe I'm only as good as my last job. So it's like, okay, cool. So what's next? How else can I push the status quo? How else can I push myself? Because I also firmly believe I am my own competition. I don't compete with others, because I feel like there's space for all of us to thrive.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Sunet, have you always thought about acting and like the highlight of your career that you can share with us?
Yes, I mean, I've always, for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be in the entertainment industry specifically. So I remember when I was like 4 or 5 years old, like my sisters and I would put up these shows to our families where we would sing and dance. And then growing up, like I've never been that good at sports. I run very slow and I don't have a lot of ball sense, so it wasn't my thing. But I've then always had like singing classes and dancing. I've been singing and dancing for as long as I can remember, where I was in...
So we're going to get an album soon?
No.
Okay, no.
I went to acting because it's definitely one of my strongest.
Okay.
Dancing I'll still do, but the singing, that's not going to go anywhere, don't worry. But yeah, I've always wanted to do acting. I had acting classes here and there growing up, and then when we moved to Walvis Bay, it was a little bit more difficult. There wasn't really any opportunities for you there. Obviously did a few school plays as well, but nothing too much. But I knew the moment I finished school, I'm going to go study acting.
Wow.
So I did a gap year after matric, but then after that I moved to Cape Town and I studied film acting specifically because I like theatre, but film has always been like my real passion.
Okay.
So I went to study film acting for 2 years and I was like sold. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I really enjoyed it. So that was kind of my thing. I've always wanted to do entertaining and acting specifically. But to say a highlight of my career, it is difficult. Now that it's on me, I don't know.
Because it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. There's been so many. Obviously, the White Line was a big highlight for me because it was my first feature film. So it was, it was a very big thing for me back then. But obviously, you've had these little moments that you've had up until then. So it's so difficult to
You
give
can't.
that answer, man.
Because it's like, which
But
one
one
do you...
that's sentimental to you, like I can share one. So for me, everyone thinks going to Miss Universe was like this highlight of my life. But for me, it was walking off stage and thinking about how Chelsi Smith also walked on this stage. Somebody who was named after me. And she didn't get the opportunity to see me do this. But if she was here, I was just asking myself, what would she say, you know?
Yeah.
That was what was sentimental to me through my whole journey. That was my highlight because I shared that with myself.
Yeah.
It was like for you, a special time.
So something like that.
I would actually say one of my biggest highlights then, if we're going to go that route.
Yes.
She's forcing us.
Was a specific, when we finished a specific scene in the White Line, and to this day it was one of my favorite scenes that I've done on any project that I've done, which is, there were 2, but it was in the same...
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Do you know? So there were 2. So the one was when we did the big...
Dinner scene.
The dinner scene, because it was, we did it in one take.
Yeah.
And everyone was just giving their 110%. Like that was just epic. So that was, I just felt so accomplished as an actor, because a lot of the times you criticize yourself, you're your worst critic. But after that scene I was like, well done, Sunet.
You did, because
I was
actually
so
you were leading
impressed
the
with
scene. You were
myself.
leading that scene because the focus was on you,
and
it was
a
basically just
difficult scene
capturing.
emotionally as
it was.
well. So, but that was good. And then the last scene that we shot for the White Line, where she's in prison, and I get there, and that one wasn't necessarily an accomplishment as an actor, but it was one of the best scenes to shoot, just because the emotions were so raw.
Yeah.
And we were feeding off of each other there, even though it was such a difficult scene to shoot. It was, I felt really accomplished afterwards as an actor. So I felt like I was proud of the project at that point. I was proud of what we did. And yeah, I would say that was actually a highlight.
You were amazing. I was actually
It's not
surprised.
pretty good.
No, because
Yeah,
I was actually
fit through the
surprised.
door with
I was
my head
actually
being so big
surprised
when we're done, yeah.
that she kept a straight face in that scene, because when you
that was
went
rough.
out, you went and like had a
Yeah, I
little
actually
moment.
cried, because
You
the
know?
thing is with that, she did her job so well, and she was just so, it was tough, man. Like seeing her sitting there
Vulnerable.
with these bruises, and she was
Yeah.
vulnerable, and she was naked, and she was actually naked, I think.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
naked.
was.
And obviously there, usually you stay in character.
Yeah.
And Anna-Marie wouldn't have been affected by that.
Exactly.
But like Sunet was just wanted to cry. And I'm like, I
bawling.
can't cry because Anna-Marie
Yeah.
won't cry about this.
Yeah.
And then I walked out and I started crying. But it was still a really good scene.
Yeah, it was.
I was convinced you kidnapped her. Like, I think I
Yeah,
spoke
that's
that-
even what she-
I
when
was
she
I
called
didn't even
me.
think that you were in prison. I was like, didn't she kidnap you? Like,
I wouldn't put it beneath Anna-Marie.
Yeah.
She would be able to,
Keep her
you
in the
know?
basement
Keep her in
there.
the
I don't know.
basement.
She,
It's true. It's true. But I guess you missed the scene with the police officers where they chucked me into, because before she walked in,
Yeah,
were
there is
police that-
actually-
where you got arrested in front of the shop.
No, not
Okay,
that one.
then.
It's basically after the dinner scene where she calls them and then I get arrested.
show her
and I-
being
yeah,
thrown into
yeah,
prison.
into
Okay.
prison.
But maybe I had my own policeman at home.
Of course, who knows?
Who knows?
Anna-Marie's
Because we are that
questionable.
girl. Yeah.
So, Sunet, you also do radio. How did that come about?
That's
Did
actually
you enter a
funny story.
competition or?
Enter competition. Not a competition.
So as someone who's studied acting, wanted to do acting, radio was like a big no for me, you know.
Okay.
I was
Why a
like,
big no?
no, because it like nobody sees your face. That's
Oh,
the
okay,
whole
I
thing
get
of
you. I
acting.
get
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I
just
get
kidding.
you.
But it's also like the idea of radio always freaked me out because it's live, and that's why I love film acting, because it's not live.
Yeah.
So I just always said, you know, radio is not for me. And then I moved after I studied. So I studied film acting in Cape Town. Then I started studying teaching, because my dad and I had the same agreement. Like, you can study acting,
Exactly.
but you need to have a backup. So then I studied teaching, and then I moved to Windhoek, and there wasn't a lot of jobs at that point in time in the industry. So I worked at a gynecologist. I was a secretary though.
Oh, okay.
So don't
I was
worry.
almost like, you got your back now. So.
And that for me, like desk work, I can't. Like, it is just
Hey.
for a creative, that is like
kills your
torture.
soul.
So I was so depressed
Yeah.
in my work, and I remember driving home one day after work, just like so tired and gutful of my job. And then I heard an ad on the radio where they said they're looking for like a radio personality, and I'm like,
Yeah, sure. And you've got the voice.
why not? You know,
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
try it. I applied, and originally I got offered a position as a newsreader, which I did for a year, and then I moved over to the presenting, and honestly love it. I don't know why I didn't want to do it in the first
Exactly.
place, but
Because I
Was
see
it-
it as like
yeah.
voice acting.
it is.
Yeah.
It
That's
is like
basically
voice
what it
acting.
is, you know?
It's and it's still entertaining, and that, I guess that's why I fell in love with it. So yeah.
Would you say it's a male-dominated industry? Was it like very difficult to break into? You know, after the year, was it easy to transition to like doing it full time?
In terms of the radio industry, I don't think everyone's story or experience will be the same. So I can't give this as a standard. But from my experience, I haven't had any problem, or I haven't felt in any form disadvantaged or had a difficult time getting into the industry. And in fact, I was actually pleasantly surprised at how many powerful women you have in the radio industry. And I always want to go as far as to say the entertainment industry in general, there are a lot of powerful women making moves there. And I mean, it wasn't until recently, like I think 2 years ago, that I actually had a male manager at the radio station. We've always had females at the top positions. So, I mean, it's really, I would say it is at this point in time, not a female-dominated industry, but I think there's a lot of equal representation. It's one of those industries where you really can compete as a woman.
Okay. Girley, would you say as an actor that it's a natural process to transition from producing to directing?
I think even with, obviously as an actor, they always say, it's actually something that Desiree said to me. She said, actors always turn out to be really great directors. Because if you look at someone like Jodie Foster, because you understand the science of acting, you understand what it takes for a character, you understand what it takes for you as an actor to bring that character to life. So they sometimes see things that a director that wasn't an actor before would see. But in my case, pertaining to directing, that isn't really my forte. I would just like, because stuff needed to be done and we're part of the team, somebody has to make that happen. You make that happen. And also for myself, I also see it as like me challenging myself. It's like, how hard can it be? Like, just try it. But that's not really my love interest. Obviously acting is. The producing, that was also just, it was all by chance actually. Film producing, it was just like Desiree asking me, do you want to produce this with me? Sure. You know, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah. But obviously at the time I didn't, and I didn't know what it takes, you know, up until I actually did, and I'm like, what did I sign up for? Somebody should have given me a memo. Because if you're a producer, that movie or that series or that short film is a part of, it's like a child.
Okay.
They're part of your life for like forever. And you just can't wait for them to leave. So I think it was easy for me, I would say, but obviously it came with its challenges. Like, for example, not a lot of, even from the producing, we had to learn by doing the job.
Okay.
Because we didn't even know what certain things were. When you're being told that, oh, you need to create a DCP, you need to create this, we need an SRT file, we need a...
Okay.
So what do you do?
Yeah,
exactly.
those
So those are
to
things
be
that you then learn. And then obviously also looking, then it's also a question of like looking at budgets, because as a producer, you have to make sure you stay within budget. But they're beautiful lessons that I learned, obviously mistakes. I wouldn't call them mistakes. I would call them lessons learned. And after that, obviously The White Line was my first one to produce. And then obviously the knowledge that I then gained from there, I could apply that to Bajo and the Giants.
Okay.
So, and I think I had a really supportive team, actors, the cast and crew, so I can't complain. It was, I don't know if I want to do it again, but I know I am doing it again already, as I'm saying that. But it chose me, and I also see it as an opportunity, because I also realized I'm not going to be young forever, you know? And obviously right now my acting call card is 20 to 30 in terms of age. So eventually this might not be able to look like this anymore, you know? Because even like my
I
call
don't know,
card...
but okay. If you say so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So then you're selling yourself short.
Exactly. But then I'm also thinking of like, hey, why don't we expand the possibilities of what I could do? You know, so if somebody comes to me like, Girley, would you be interested in producing this? If I like the story and I believe in the story, I say yes.
Okay, so would you say, because it is a male-dominated industry, acting?
Well,
To
if
a
we,
certain
if we say
extent.
the film industry per se,
Yes.
like, and if we look at it from a global scale, in terms of representation for females, because I mean, a couple of years ago, people were still having the debates where fair pay, where sometimes female actors weren't being paid the same amount as male actors. And then obviously then that even goes further in terms of like representation in terms of color, black, white. So there are a lot of challenges, but I think in Namibia, we've reached a point where we've kind of made it an even playing field. So it's just a question of like, do I believe in what I'm selling? Do I believe in the product that I'm creating? And if you focus on that, and there are, and I even think like, at least from my experience, I got a lot of support from male filmmakers in the industry in Namibia. And I think without their advice, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did. So yeah, there are challenges. It is male dominated, but also We
not like
focus
in
on
your
that.
face.
Exactly. And also for
Okay.
me, it's like if there's no door that's being created for me, I create my own door.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm not going to wait for somebody to create that opportunity for myself. I'm like, you know what? I want to do this. And obviously also having attended Hollywood Immersive, where I realized, and that's what Sunet was saying earlier, where our industry is very seasonal.
Yeah.
So for me to produce, it's also me creating opportunities for myself. Alternatively, you sit and you wait for other people.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Until somebody, you get that casting call. So that's also where the producing came from. And the writing obviously came from, I'm a copywriter, I am a copywriter. And I just basically did it the same duration as I did the film and theater and acting, which is 16 years. So the writing from that came from copywriting, working in the advertising industry, where you obviously have to write TV commercial scripts, radio scripts, etc., etc. So that was just a natural transition from copywriting, because you already have the knowledge in terms of writing TV scripts,
Okay.
to now doing screenplays, etc.
Well, can you tell us the current project you're working on?
Wow, I can't really I can't
It's like a
divulge.
no.
I can't divulge much because legal is still finalizing stuff. But there are a couple of things that I'm working on. I'll be producing 2 TV series.
Oh, nice.
One I am co-writing, and the other, the one I'm co-writing and acting in. The other one I'm producing and acting in as well. So
Can you
those
tell us
2.
how many seasons, maybe?
Well, right now, I
Right
can't
now?
divulge that because I can see my people almost sort of like, Girley, how dare you? I don't want to be sued.
Okay, at
You don't
least
wanna
tell
get
us
in
this.
trouble.
Would we have to bring our tissues with for the premiere? Will we have to bring tissues with? Will we have to bring...
Well, they're all still in development stage.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Okay.
that's where it's at. So
So you don't know if we're going to cry or not.
No, that I don't know. That I honestly don't know, because obviously the one I'm co-writing with a co-writer, and the other one is I'm just producing and acting. So let's see what the script writers come up with. But
Okay.
it's beautiful stories. Yeah.
So you worked in Los Angeles for a while. Is
Not
it...
worked.
Oh,
I studied. In
you
Los
studied there.
Angeles,
Is it as crazy as people say it is?
Crazy in what sense?
Like just the life, the lavish, the beach,
Does it
the,
work like
the
they
energy
say on the
uh,
TV?
Yes.
Well, the one thing that I picked up, there's like a creative buzz in LA. It's just like people they are on a hustle to get stuff done, you know?
Okay.
But obviously also in terms of crazy, I don't really know what your definition of that is. But also obviously the space that I was at, which was basically, we were in Hollywood. So we stayed in Beverly Hills. There was a whole villa. So obviously very focused on, going to the theater, going to rehearsals, doing that, meeting with industry professionals. But it was a great experience. It was lovely.
Okay, so if you could describe it in one word, what would you say it was? Your experience there.
My experience.
So we
there.
can delete the crazy word.
It was enlightening
Enlightening.
and empowering.
And empowering. Amazing. Were there any challenges as, somebody that's coming from Africa, being in Los Angeles? Like, what were the challenges? Did you miss the porridge? Did you miss the kapana? What was it? Yes.
I missed our weather. When I went there, it was apparently summer. I'm like, this is not... And then they have these central aircon things, and obviously the villa that we stayed in, because there were people from Australia, there were people from England, there were people from the States, and there are people from, there was a guy from Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
So there are people from all over the world. And then obviously with me being me, I get cold, I'm always cold, you know?
Okay.
So imagine living in a villa with all of these people. So I would go in, increase to make it hot. I go back to my room, then somebody made it, it's like ice cold. I'm like, do you people have menopause? What is wrong with you people? So it was great. I loved it.
Okay, and how did the trip come about?
The trip came about because I am on this platform called Star Now, which is basically a platform where they do model casting, extras, etc., and actors. And then they had a call out for the Hollywood acting immersive program. And then they obviously had this competition, but at the time I didn't have the Star Now Pro, so it was just a normal free one.
Yeah.
So I couldn't apply for it directly. So I then went to the Hollywood Immersive website and then applied via that. And then I was selected because they were only selecting 15 people all over the world. And that was...
Wow, all over the world.
All over the world. So there were
Wow.
15 people for the acting immersive program, and I made it in.
Would you say you were lucky, or would you say that you worked hard enough to get to that
I
position?
worked hard, and I paid out of pocket. Like I had no sponsorship, so I had to pay for the program myself. I had to pay for my ticket myself. I had to pay for my visa. And thank you so much to my family for their support, my sisters, my brothers, my aunts, everybody. Because honestly, I would not have been able to do that.
And how old were you then?
Wow, that was 2017. How old am I now? Yeah.
How old am I now?
I'm turning 38, so that was 2017. Do the math.
Are you turning 38?
Yes, girl. I'm turning 38.
I was over here thinking she's like my age.
Ek is 'n ou klein vroutjie.
Sunet, is LA something you fancy doing?
Would it? Is there an actress out there that
Exactly.
doesn't want to go to LA? I would say no. To be honest, when I was younger, it was like my dream to move there and live there and work there. I would say my dream has changed a little bit. For me now, I mean, I would be willing to go there for a movie or something. But to be honest, I don't want to leave.
Thank you.
You don't want to
I
leave?
just feel like I don't
feel the
want
same
to.
way.
It sounds bad because
holiday,
when I
like-
was like in high school, I was just like, I just want to get out of here, you know. And now, you know, okay, well, I'm married, obviously pregnant
Having
as
a
well. I've got a
baby.
baby, so my priorities have changed a little bit, and I've kind of fell in love with Namibia and the environment we have here, and I do think we take it for granted as well, because when you go to Los Angeles, yes, you've got so many opportunities, but you also have so many competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've also got so many other things that you have to deal with, where I feel like here in Namibia, it's both a blessing and a curse that we're so small and the industry is still growing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing in the sense that, yes, we don't have that many opportunities, but you don't have that much competition
Exactly.
either.
Yeah.
And there's this opportunity as well to help the industry
Yeah.
grow and be
Yeah.
part of that process instead of just trying to force yourself into something else that's already been established.
Okay.
So for me at this point in time, I would be more than happy to work in Namibia, South Africa.
Exactly.
And if I ever got the opportunity to do work in Los Angeles, yes. Not gonna
But she's
say
gonna
no.
come home.
Yes.
But then I would want to come home.
I
Yeah,
feel the
that's
same
thing,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for this episode of Chelsi Shikongo Talks. We will be back with part 2, where we will talk more to actresses Girley, Jazama, and Sunet van Wyk about women in entertainment and the challenges facing women in the industry.